apply to your daily life.
Let me just explain to
Okay.
everyone what's happening here. The reason some of you are just joining and we've got a full group here and we're already speaking is because apparently in the United States, your clocks went forward. And so those who didn't realize joined us an hour early. So that's why we started an hour early. But we're here. We're going to run this hour for everyone that's just joined. And we're going to go through pretty much, because none of this is like Nick has an agenda, but I keep, I just jump in and make stuff up as I go along, as you probably know. So it won't be exactly the same because, it just won't, because it's not a recording. So that's why we've already got a group started. That's why you kind of come in at the end of this for some of you. But for the rest of you, want to hang around and join in. I think what we're doing this time, because I think we're going to give you a bit of in-depth hypnosis as well, so at some point you can get totally focused on how you want your life to be and how you want to create that life. So we're going to start pretty much where we started at 8 o'clock with Nick talking about focus. He's going to run you through some really powerful exercises, and as you know, sometimes I'll just jump in and just annoy everybody for 5 minutes with my thoughts and ideas. But otherwise, we're going to run it much the same as you ran for the first hour. So look, I'm going to hand you back over to Nick. I'm going to be letting people in because it's still just on 9 o'clock here in the UK, and there are still people joining. So welcome everybody, and thanks all of you for hanging around. And let's get back into this.
Freddie, I don't think the first group was early. I think the second group was late, I think is what happened. So that's all right. It's perfect.
I like to think that, it's Greenwich Mean Time is what everyone set their clock from for years. It's only when we educated the Americans and that they took their own line with their time. That's the difference. So yes, these people are on.
You educate the Americans? Is that what I heard?
When the British came over and changed the clocks for you, yeah.
Cleaned our clocks or something like that. Yeah, Robert.
Well, okay, I got the invitation earlier this morning, and when I put into Google at what time is Greenwich Mean Time across the pond here in America, it gave me a city near me and it said 2 p.m. So that's probably why everybody's showing up now.
Oh, so it's Google. Let's blame Google. Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
That's it. No, that's why we shouldn't just listen to what Google says. Wait till Elon Musk fits the chip in all of our heads, and then we can all be on the same time.
Soon enough. All right. Well, Freddie, should we just start with your process for the last group? You want to just do like a full spectrum and then we'll do focus training afterwards?
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, wait, yeah. So
Oh,
is everyone ready for some hypnosis? All right, and we're going to get in this. When I take you into trance, what's going to happen is you're going to get focused on the life you absolutely want. And I want you to forget about realistically, put that out of your head, close enough, put it out of your head. Think about how you truly want to be. And it's going to be different for all of us because we're all different ages here and we'll have different goals. But we're going to get focused on that outcome. And so you have an understanding of how that's going to feel when you achieve it. And then Nick is going to show you how to take complete control of your focus. That Bar's already gone. She can't wait to get into hypnosis. She's a proper, what we call a hypno junkie. She's already gone. So if you're all ready for doing this and getting focused, I want you just to place your feet flat on the floor. I'm going to run what I call this psychological decapitation, and it's specifically for Amy, who's here, because it's the way she gets into trance very easily, and I'm sure all of you will do the same. All right, so when you're ready, just place your feet separately. Make sure you're in a safe place, by the way. You're not sitting on a windowsill 10 stories up with the window open with a hot cup of tea on your lap or something. Make sure you're in a safe place. And then when you're ready to get into this, focusing on what you truly want, I want you to take a breath in hold it for a moment, and as you breathe out, just allow your eyes to close. Only as quickly as you're ready to create the life you absolutely want. That's right. And focus on your body. If you can sense any tension anywhere, let it go. Start with the top of your head, just allow your scalp to relax. Allow your eyes to relax, your body to relax. In a moment, I'm going to count down from 10. And with every number down, your body will relax and enter a state of total bliss, like you've got a general anesthesia. But no matter how relaxed your body becomes, your chair will support you. So as I count down from 10, your body is going to relax completely. But at the same time as counting down from 10, I'm going to be counting up from 1. And with every number up, your mind will become more focused on what you want, how you want to feel, how you want to be, what you want to achieve. And at some point, as I'm counting, your mind will separate from your body for a while. It will be the most incredible experience of liberation and freedom. So with every number down, your body enters a state of total bliss, total relaxation. Every number up, your mind becomes stronger, clearer, more focused on how you want to live and how you want to be. 10. Body relaxing, every muscle, nerve, and fiber. Just dropping down through space and time. 1. The mind is stronger, clearer, and more focused than it's ever been before. You know what you want, you know how you want to feel. 9. The body goes deeper, deeper down into that state of bliss. Less and less aware of yourself as a physical being. Get a sense of that happening automatically. Imagine there's nothing you can do about that. 2. Every limiting belief that was ever placed on you is washed from your mind. Get a sense of a tsunami of spring water just washing through your mind. Every negative, limiting belief washed away from your mind. 8. The body goes deeper, deeper down into that state of total relaxation, total bliss. Just dropping down into that space. 3. Every negative thought that ever held you back is washed from your mind and body. 7. The body goes deeper, deeper, deeper down into that state of total bliss. Nobody wants anything. No one expects anything. There's nothing for you to do but to relax. 4. The mind begins to separate from the body. 6. Going deeper, deeper, deeper down now. Imagine that's happening with every word I say, taking you deeper and deeper into that state of bliss. Imagine there's nothing you can do about that. 5. The mind separates from the body completely and drifts without boundaries, without borders, without limits. Get a sense of yourself out there, having created the life you absolutely want. Notice the way you move and the way you breathe. That feeling of achievement, that feeling of freedom. Get a sense of that now. Just drifting without limits, without borders, drifting through space and time. Notice the way you move. See yourself there having created that life you want, the body you want, the health you want, the happiness you want, the career, the finances you want. And notice the way you move and the way you breathe. And step into that future self. Feel into it. Get a sense of how good that feels. Waking up in the morning energized, going about your day with a feeling of freedom. Get a sense of how good that feels. And ask this question. How much fun is this? How much fun can I make it? How important is it for me? Get a sense of that now, because now you know how good you're going to feel. Everything about your nature, your mind, your body is inclined toward making it happen. Imagine that's happening now. And as you feel into that, look back to now and notice all the things you did along the way that led to that feeling. The mind drifts without boundaries, without borders. 5, the body just drifts through time and space. You have no idea where your body is in time and space. A feeling of liberation, an understanding that you are not your body. You are not even your name, because your name was given to you. Get a sense of that now, that thing of freedom and liberation. An understanding, no matter what you thought you were, you are so much more than that. And as I continue to count down from 5, every number doubles that feeling of relaxation and bliss. Just when you think you've reached that ultimate space of profound hypnosis and trance, my voice, my words are going to take you 10 times deeper. 4, going deeper, deeper, deeper down now. Imagine that's happening. There's nothing you can do about that. 3, going even deeper now. 2, 1, 0. And now you're in that space. Nothing bothers or affects you. Nothing disturbs you. Free of all earthly ties. Free to be. And as you drift in that space, once again, allow yourself the pleasure, going out there into the future, to a time when you've created that life you absolutely want. Step into that moment, feel into it, because now you know how good you're going to feel. Everything about your nature, your mind and body is inclined toward making it happen. Focus on that feeling now. And as I continue to count up from 5, your mind becomes stronger, clearer, more focused. With every number up, your mind becomes more focused. Every limitation gone. 6, every limiting belief that was never yours, that was placed on you, is swept from your mind. Get a sense of that now, your mind being washed through with clear spring water, a tsunami of clear spring water, washing away every limitation that was ever placed on you. Get a sense of those blocks just disintegrating and being washed away. 7, every negative thought that was ever placed on you, that ever held you back, is being washed from your mind. Imagine it's happening and there's nothing you can do about that. 8, I want you to think about the people you love, people that love you. See those faces, feel that love right now. Let that remind you of just how loved you are. Because as my friend Sandra says, you are loved, you are loved, and you are loving. Get a sense of that now. Feel that love like a burning hot sun in a summer sky, and shrink it down to a white hot nuclear powered ball of light. Pull it into your heart center. Feel your heart expanding with that feeling of love. How incredible are you? Get a sense of that now. And notice as your heart is flooded with that feeling of love, every negative, limiting belief is gone, because it cannot coexist in your body and mind with that feeling of love. 9, a moment of pure clarity. You absolutely know how you want to be. A moment of clarity. 10, a moment of enlightenment. You know exactly how you want to feel and how you want to be. And your focus is like a laser beam. Get a sense of that now. You are focused on that outcome. You're holding that feeling of unconditional self-love in your heart. And every limitation's gone. You want that feeling. In a moment, I'm going to count to 5. And on 4, your eyes will open. You will feel incredible because you are incredible. And on 5, you'll be open to everything Nick is going to teach you in this hour. How to have complete control of your focus so you can take complete control of your life and the outcomes that you want. So get ready. 1, feeling wonderful. 2, to create that life you absolutely want. 3, a feeling of freedom from every limiting belief. 4, feel the energy of that focus now, eyes opening. 5, excellent. Is everybody back? Good. I think Rob's still in a state of bliss. Okay. I'm sure everything Nick says over this next hour, Rob will be getting without him even knowing it. All right, great. So I'm going to hand you back to Nick. Get focused.
They look ready, Freddie. I think we got some new faces on here today too, so it's good to see everybody.
Yeah.
All right, so today we are doing a little bit of what I call focus training. And so what is more important that has a bigger impact on our life than what we focus on? So I know that's kind of a cliche, is, you know, what you focus on, where focus goes, energy flows, all of that. But that saying in itself doesn't change anything. It doesn't change your life, right? Understanding how to toggle back and forth between 2 focal points is what we're going to do today. So we often hold 2 ideas in our mind at the same time. And so this is in the chapter I wrote for Freddie's book. I put a Bible verse in there, James 1:8, that says, a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And what a double-minded man is someone, or woman, is someone who has 2 ideas at the same time. And so many of us, I know we have a lot of coaches and hypnotherapists here, when we're working with a client, we hold the idea of their success and this working, but a lot of times we also hold an idea of, what if this doesn't work? What if I look like an idiot? What if they're not happy, right? And so when we hold these 2 ideas in the same time, we're giving our unconscious mind mixed signals. And we do the same thing with our relationships, with our big goals. And so I want to bring that into conscious awareness so then you can select how you want to focus and then how you want to move forward. And I see a lot of people who are on the first hour are sticking around to go over it again. I think it was helpful. So I want you to think about a time when maybe you were driving home from work to go see your partner. And on this particular day, you may have had an argument in your head. And you may have rehearsed that argument in your head for the entire drive home. Have any of you ever experienced that? Where you rehearse an argument and then you go home and you promptly have that argument and you wonder why it happened, right? So I want you to have the idea, think about, you can focus on this argument and what's bothering you, but what if you had shifted your focus onto what you love about them? And maybe even on what their positive intention was behind the thing that you're going to argue about. And if you hold that focus long enough, if you hold the focus on what would it be like to get home and actually have a great connection and a loving experience, you know, and not the argument, what do you think how you show up would be different? Do you think how they receive you would be different? Right? Every part of that would change. So most of us were like, oh yeah, I can control my focus. And we set our focus on our goals, and then we get a little lazier, we go unconscious, and then the loop starts playing in the background, the argument or the self-doubt or the self-talk that stops us. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to bring that into our awareness and learn how to move back and forth between a successful thought and our thoughts of doubt, and release one and hold those thoughts of success until they solidify into our nervous system. Does this make sense? Everybody ready for that? All right, cool. So make sure I have them covered here. James Tripp, I had him on my podcast, and he said this quote, and I just thought it was perfect for this. He said, "Be careful what you bring to the picnic, because you might have to eat it." And so what we focus on, what we're continually, habitually focusing on, is what is going to be fed back to us and how people respond to us, how our clients respond to us, how our sales calls respond to us, how our partners respond to us. And I think we all know this, right? But it comes down to our focus and bringing awareness to how we are focusing that is creating the results and the experience in our life. So you guys are all down to start to shift what we focus on and how we focus to change how we feel and how we act. I see Robert up there is ready to go. All right, so we're going to do a little play experience here. So whatever you do, don't go into a deep trance with this. This is just an imagination experience, all right? So get comfortable and you can get situated. And I want you to place those hands face down on your thighs. And as you get situated and as you relax, you remember how easy it is to feel back into that state of trance formation, allowing that to expand all the way through you. Now, as your eyes close, I want you to just put all of your focus on your right hand, sensing into the middle knuckle on the middle finger of that right hand, feeling into the space inside all of your fingers on your right hand, letting everything else just dissolve and disappear. As you notice the sensations of your right hand warming, relaxing, expanding now. And just as easily as you put all of your focus into your right hand, allow yourself to shift your focus into your left hand completely. Maybe feeling a sensation of your left hand getting smaller and smaller. And maybe it feels cool, like you put your left hand in cool water, shrinking, becoming more aware of that left hand. Noticing now what you weren't thinking about just a moment ago. Everything else you hadn't noticed as you were focusing on that left hand. And now I'm going to let you take the driver's seat and the steering wheel and toggle your focus back and forth between the right and the left hands. Going completely into that right hand, feeling that expansive, warming sensation, letting everything else fade away. And back into the left hand, small and cool. And on your own now, going back and forth between the two, toggling your focus, expanding or shrinking the experience of each hand. And finally, notice what it feels like to focus on both hands at the same time. You feel them both start to normalize, becoming more aware of the blood flowing through them, being grateful for all the things your hands do for you every single day. Noticing how little attention you are putting on the rest of your body or the rest of your experience as you've been focusing on these hands. In a moment, I'll count from 1 to 5. We'll come back into the room, preparing to do more little focus shifting exercises to train ourselves to focus on what you desire. Feeling at one with yourself, to move forward through life. 3 times more confident than before. 5, eyes open, ready to share your experience, feeling energized and even more focused. So I just wanted to get those parts of your brain starting to work as we're able to shift back and forth. So I'd love to hear from some of you. How was the experience of, and more specifically, of being able to move back and forth between the 2 hands? Were you able to let one go completely and notice? Yeah, Nolene says yes. I'd love to, do you want to share?
I've lost the vision. Yeah, it was very interesting. I started to become concerned that I might lose my left hand totally. It got so small.
Back to normal, all the way back to normal. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So you were able to continually focus into that experience. And when you were going back and forth between the 2 hands, what was that like?
Easy.
Easy. Okay, perfect. You're probably very skilled at this. Great. So this is what we do a lot of times is we move back and forth between the things we want in life and the things we don't want. Right? And so, and a lot of times, again, this goes on unconsciously. So we're going to bring these into the conscious awareness, teach you how to focus, do this exercise, how to toggle back and forth between the things that we want and the things that we don't want easily, and to notice it from here on out. Does that sound like a useful skill to have?
Yep, certainly.
Perfect. Okay. So we're going to do this partner exercise. And I want you to think about your romantic or intimate partner, your life partner, and just kind of get a sense of them. And if you're single, this works even better, because I want you to think about that ideal partner that you would have, that person that you want to attract into your life, and what that feeling would be like. And then, as much as you love that person, I'm going to have you think about some things that maybe annoy you, or situations that kind of grind your gears about them. And if you're single, it would probably be the reasons or the excuses you make to yourself about why you haven't met that person yet. And so what we're going to do is we're going to see that person, we're going to experience that connection and love for them. And then we're going to experience the things that bother us a little bit, because this happens regardless of whether we intentionally focus on it or not, right? So as you toggle back and forth between these 2 different focuses, are you going to have different feelings? Yes or no? Yes. And so if you can then take control of, well, what am I focusing on? What am I feeling? Now you have control of your relationship instead of letting an unconscious thought pattern control it. So for some of you, this might be a little uncomfortable to actually feel into the things that bother you. It's okay. Just observe it, sit with it, and notice it. And then allow yourself to shift back into what you really want. So we're going to do this with our partner. Then we're going to do this with a big goal that we have. And then we'll start to wrap it up. So does this sound good? Any questions before we get into this? Perfect. We got a few thumbs up. All right. Awesome. So get situated, get comfortable again. Allowing yourself to relax back into that comfortable state where your focus is in your control. Where your feelings are in your control. As you get a sense of that partner, that person that you love, and what you love about them, what you admire about them, and maybe you remember a specific time where they made you feel a certain way. And notice that feeling now. Notice that connection now. Notice the feeling of that connection moving through your entire body. And if you could tell them something that you love about them, what would it be? What would you tell them? And as you feel that sensation, notice that just as easily, you could shift your focus onto a time where maybe they annoyed you. Maybe they did something that bothered you. And notice how that feels. I see some shifting and some moving from this. It's perfect. And notice how that image has changed and how maybe their voice has changed. But really, notice how your focus has changed. And just as easily, you can shift back to a great memory with them. Something like when you really felt connected, intimately connected to them. And you knew there was something special about them. You can look in their eyes and feel that connection again. And imagine something in the future that turns out to be a great memory with this person. Something maybe you're going to do for them, a surprise, a way to connect deeper, to strengthen your relationship. Notice how much fun it is and how good it feels to connect even deeper now. And because you're in control, now you get to decide. Do you want to practice going back and forth between the two states? Do you want to focus deeper into connection with them? What do you want to feel? And as you focus into that, allow yourself to feel it even stronger. Knowing that the way you show up, your actions, your capabilities all stem from how you focus. And before you come out of this experience, I want you to hear your partner telling you exactly what you would want to hear them say. Imagine them telling you something that just feels so good to hear. Feel that connection. Knowing that it was all just a shift and your focused imagination. And let that feeling lock into your system now. In a moment, I'm going to have you come back into the room to share your experience and do even a little bit more focused training. At 1, feeling more energized. 2, move forward in life. 3, 4, 5, feeling energized and good. Welcome back, everybody. So does everyone kind of have an idea about how our focus affects our emotions now? Did everybody feel that? Does anyone want to share? David, yes, love to hear from you.
Yeah, the exercise of going back and forth it was easy to pull up both. And it's funny, I pull for the annoyed scenario, I pulled up something from a few days ago, actually. And I'm a coach, also starting a coaching business. And what we teach is like, what we're calling the story model. It's just like this, there's circumstances on both ends, neutral, objective, and then everything in the middle, which is your thoughts, emotions, and actions. And it's very aligned with everything you're talking about. And there was something related to what I was working on, that business versus finding a new day job with my wife. And I was trying to explain to her why I was in a positive, optimistic state. And she wasn't in line with it because she was coming from a place of scarcity and finding the new job and all of that. I was like, no, it's okay. Everything's okay. I'm good. I'm leaning forward into this. It's fine. And because like I'm using my own tools, like I'm thinking positive, I'm focusing on the right things, and I feel good. And you should too, by the way, which doesn't go over well. And that was the point of resistance. And but like there's the unintentional thing that's underlying thoughts and focus unintentionally that's happening in the background there, which is, why aren't you getting it? The language that was happening without me even realizing it is, why aren't you getting it? Why can't you see, something that I hold valuable and useful and helpful as true for you also? And just this frustration, these are all words that they're words. And of course it was creating frustration and an internal energy. And I was coming from that place. And it was just it's so sneaky, right? This unintentional narrative that's always happening, even though you're trying to have this intentional focus. So anyway, just wanted to share that because I thought that was a bit of a meta realization, which was kind of funny looking back. But yeah, I loved this notion of being able to flexibly, so long as you're intentionally doing it and from like the watcher perspective, be able to toggle like this. That's really powerful.
And David's the only person that has this experience of getting frustrated with partners when they don't get it, right? Like he's the only one? No, of course not. This is an experience that we all go through. And there's different ways to, we can reframe the content or imagine their positive intention. There's different ways to kind of reframe that. But David, once you understand that, you have to, first of all, meet people where they are and get into rapport with them. And then from there, then you can start shifting the focus. So this is probably a little bit of a different talk. I would like to think we have rapport here. You're allowing me to shift your focus a little bit, but sometimes, believe it or not, I meet people who have resistance. And so first of all, I have to find that I meet them where they are. I understand them. And then when I do that, to influence them, all I'm doing is shifting their focus onto the things that we would want together, onto their positive, what they have told me is their positive outcome. Now they feel differently. So for your wife, it would have been understanding her hangups and shifting her to focus on the outcome that she wanted, right? And so you could then run this, what I'm doing with you guys, you could run that exercise on her and shift her feelings in a moment.
Sure.
I think, David, the thing is that ultimately what we want to create, it has to come from us. If you're very lucky, and I'm saying very lucky, you have a partner that's totally aligned with where you're focused on. But it's not the norm, to be honest with you. because generally, especially when we're talking about coaching and hypnosis and coming out of the real world of work into where we're working, then someone in that situation has to think about feeding the kids and all the things that could possibly go wrong, and that's fine. But we have to keep our focus. If we're relying on outside of ourselves to get us where we want to go, that is generally not going to happen. And I always say that if only my partner was on my side, if only circumstances were different, if only this would happen, that would happen. And what I'm saying to everybody, to my clients, is if only is outside of your own head, then all you are is a victim of circumstance. If only my partner was more in tune with me, if only my partner was more aligned with me, if only this, if only that, if only is outside of your own head, then all you are is a victim of circumstance. The moment we say, I am taking responsibility, total responsibility for my body, my health, my happiness, my career, then we can change it. And it is hard, because our minds are fluid, aren't they? I've met and worked with a few world champions in my time. People on a planet of 8 billion people are number one at what they do. And every one of those people have been so boring, to be honest with you, because all they can talk about is the thing they're really skilled at, because they've been focused on that maybe since they were 12 or 13 years old, to the extent they haven't had, when it comes to socializing, they can't, because their focus has been so intense, which is great if you want to be a world champion. Most of us have to kind of have some kind of normality, but we can still keep our focus on what we want. And what I'm saying to all of us is that if we want to achieve something, whether it's a physical goal or a career goal, it has to come from us. It has to come from within us. We have to have the big enough why. And hopefully, over a period of time, your partner will become aligned, because they'll see that what you're doing is for the family's benefit, not just for your own benefit. And then but it's not always easy. And I totally wish you all the best, Dave. I truly do. And I'm sure you're going to get there, because you're teaching other people how to do it. We have to live that life ourselves, don't we? But yes, I'm saying to all of us that our focus shifts, and it can be shifted by other people. We have our own negative voice, which we can quiet and we can understand. But sometimes there are voices outside of ourselves that are in our ear, and that is quite difficult. And to ignore that and to stay focused is quite difficult. And it takes another level of training and focus to do it.
Is it fair to say that, like, in terms of a solution or a path forward or a next step or anything like that for solving some problem, if my rationale or the words I'm using are anything outside of myself, then that's not the right angle. I'm in control of what's in my box, what my own experience and how I'm showing up. If I think that something else has to change, is that kind of what you're getting, victim of circumstance? I
That's what
need
I'm
then to
saying.
manipulate something else in order for things to go right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we're reliant on things changing in the outside world, then that, we've got to focus on what we can change and know what we can change. I think someone once said the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result. We've got, whatever you're doing, you need to focus on it, and then what you're going to make those changes. We have to do it. I once said to my wife, I said, "You're making me fat." She just laughed her head off. She said, "Well, you'd moan if I didn't put nice things in the fridge. You'd moan if I didn't buy you, cook you nice meals." She was absolutely right. If I want my body to be a certain way, I have to lift those weights. I have to do the exercise. It can't come from anywhere else. And it's the same with everything in our life. If we want to create that life we want, we have to do the work. We have to focus on it. And we have to have a big enough why. Why do we want to do it? And it might be, David, your big enough why might be that ultimately you want to create the best life for your wife and yourself and your family. And that might be a big enough driver. Whatever your why is, if it's big enough and you focus on it, I honestly believe there's very little we cannot achieve. You know, I see kids that 19, 17, 18, 19 that come and see me for different things. And I say to them, what could you not achieve in 5 years if you really set your mind on it? You know, you could be playing the guitar like Eric Clapton. You could have the physique you want. That, you know, that only leaves them at like 22. In any 2-year period of our life, you completely change our life. But to do that, we have to have that focus. We have to stay on it. Not be swayed off that path. And that's a difficult thing. That's why Nick's here tonight, getting you to understand that you can change your focus and toggle between what you want and what's holding you back. And then over a period of time, master that experience. So your mind is going to go to the negative. Everyone's does. It's going to go to the what ifs. But you've got to be prepared to pull yourself back and negate that what if and stay focused, stay on track. And that's what Nick's doing here today. I was saying in the group earlier, because we had another group earlier, the great Zig Ziglar, and this was a guy who was kind of forerunner of all the kind of motivational people that we are around now. He said that you could take the strongest magnifying glass on the planet on the hottest day on the planet and have a bundle of dry straw. And you can take that magnifying glass and that straw and that sun and nothing will happen, providing you keep moving that magnifying glass. But the moment you hold that magnifying glass still and you focus the energy of the sun onto that straw, boom, you have a fire. And that's the same with our mind. We can create incredible things, but we have to have that focus. And it is the difference between people who achieve everything they want to achieve and people who don't. Because our mind is fluid. And as I was saying, you know, just before I think you came on here, our mind is like a fertile piece of ground. It's something is going to grow in it. There is not a fertile piece of ground on this planet that is empty. There's nothing growing on it. If you have a garden with fertile ground and you just leave that, it's not going to be earth. It's going to be filled with probably weeds and dandelions. If you want that garden to be what we want it to be, we have to clear those weeds out and then we have to plant what we want. We want to grow. And then we have to attend to those plants. Otherwise, the weeds will take over again. And that is exactly how our mind is. Our mind is fertile. Something's going to grow in it. And if we're not focused on what we want to grow in it, then rubbish will grow in it. And our thoughts will be weeds rather than beautiful flowers. They are. Sounds how poetic I'm getting now. You know, your mind will be full of weeds rather than beautiful roses. So think about that. What do we want to grow in our mind? How do we want our mind to be? What do we want our thoughts to be created by? And then we can do this. We can take back that control and do it. But we have to focus on what you want. And finding a big enough why is the ultimate thing. Why do you want to create that life? Why do you want to earn more money? Why do you want to create that coaching business? What is that reason? And if we can find it, then our body will do everything. Our whole being will be driven towards making it happen if we know why we want to do it.
Well said, Freddie. So David, one last thought, and this is really for everybody, but depending on how esoteric you want to get, the idea that you can imagine someone greeting you in a certain way or treating you a certain way or telling you something like, you know what, I'm on board, let's go, like I support you fully. If you imagine that and you hold that in your imagination long enough until you feel it, one day that person is going to show up and be like, you know what, like I'm on board, let's do this. And it's amazing how often that happens. I know it seems like someone's attitude is outside of our control, but when you imagine that, because we're all one and we're all connected to this field of information, right? When you continually put that out there, you will influence the people in your life. I have done this numerous times. That's probably a whole other training here, but that's what's possible when you control the focus and the narrative. Instead of having an argument in your head with them, you see them the way that you want to see them. So
is that just because I'm curious and kind of practical about it? Thanks for calling the esoteric nature of it, but like I like to understand also, if I can. Is that because do you think that you're showing up with a different energy and maybe behaving in a certain different way, or it's not that at all?
Yeah,
And that's what
I think it's all the same. Even if that's all you think about is, if you expect and believe that to happen, other people will feel your certainty because we're always
Sure.
putting off frequency based on our focus, right? So
Mhm.
they'll feel that like a radio antenna that's tuning in, and they'll just be on board with those thoughts. They can't not be on board, if you sustain that long enough. Let me read a few comments here and then we'll do this last process. So I was asking if toggling back and forth was helpful and you guys found it to be powerful. Mandy says, yes, very much. I found it easier than I thought I would. Nicholas says, that is amazing. I can't believe the difference that felt going from one to the other. Jenny says, love the fact I was fighting with an imaginary boyfriend. What has my life become? That's pretty funny. And then Georgina says, it was a notable difference between expansion and contraction. Felt much better and easier to focus on the wanted position. So now you are aware of how easily throughout the day, when you find yourself in that contracted position, or you find yourself having that argument in your head, you can go, wait a minute, what am I focusing on here? And you can shift it how fast, right? Instantly to have a different feeling and to start to attract something different from the people in your life. All right, should we do another process? You guys ready for one more? All right, it seems like you guys are enjoying this. Perfect. The RAS will do the work for you. The reticular activating system is always out just confirming our suspicions. That's all it's doing. It's out just confirming our bias. And so that's what we're doing is we're setting it up to confirm a bias that serves us instead of one that doesn't. Because if you look for negative, you'll find negative. If you look for positive, you'll find positive. All right, so last process here. I want all of you to think about a big goal that you have, an outcome that you're striving for. Get really clear and really specific on what that would look like and feel like and sound like once you accomplished that. Because in a moment, we're going to toggle back and forth between the feeling of that end state, that outcome, and whatever's been stopping you from that. Whatever used to get in the way, whatever focus pattern used to interrupt that. So now as you get even clearer about the end state, the outcome, I want you to start imagining it like it's happening now. And as you get comfortable and you close your eyes, I want you to tune into the frequency of the experience of that end state. What would it be like now that you've accomplished that goal? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What type of person are you now that you've accomplished this goal? And imagine the people in your life praising you and congratulating you for accomplishing this. Maybe your mentor or your loved one. And notice the feeling associated with accomplishing this goal. And allow that scene to fade as you allow the previous thought pattern, the focus pattern that was preventing you from experiencing that until now. What limiting belief, limiting idea, negative imagination was happening that prevented that state? And just allow that into your awareness without judgment. knowing that every time that this thought pattern comes up, you'll become aware of it, and you can immediately shift your focus to the outcome that you want, to that end state you desire. As you go back there, remembering every positive aspect of that goal accomplished. Sometimes you need to take in more oxygen to process this process. It's perfectly okay. Noticing any sensations in your body, feeling the joy and excitement, and noticing how much fun this is, how good it feels now, experiencing this. Remembering everything that went into this process. Remembering how amazing it is that you can put an idea into your unconscious mind and it will make it happen. You can even enjoy the process, can't you? That's right. Noticing how good it feels, noticing who you are as a person having accomplished this. And allow yourself to become aware of the idea of success and the idea of failure at the same time. And notice what happens then. Knowing that all day long you have a choice. Do I focus on what it would be like to fail, or do I focus on what it is like to succeed? And experience moving those in and out. Bringing one of those into the center of your focus, and then shifting it. Notice if there's any feelings that change, thoughts that change. Knowing that you are in complete control of what and how you focus. And let the negative thought pattern just shrink down and drift behind you, way off in the distance, as you focus completely on the experience of having accomplished that goal, of being that type of person, of living the life that you want to live, of creating that life out of your own imagination, out of your own focus, every moment of every day. And imagine that experience solidifying into every cell, tuning into the frequency of that now. Running down your spine, down to your fingertips and your toes, becoming that person easily and automatically, allowing your unconscious mind to lock on to that target and to experience this feeling at any time. Noticing how much better you feel now than you did at the beginning of this call. Remembering everything you did to accomplish this goal. Letting that lock into your entire system now. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. Bring you back into the room to share your experience, knowing that you've now locked into place this new feeling and this new ability to shift your focus back and forth and to be aware of your focus easily and effortlessly. Feeling one with yourself to experience a life of passion and enthusiasm, 3 times more confident, 4 times more capable, 5, coming back into the room, opening your eyes, feeling energized and ready to share. How's everybody doing? Michelle, I see you yawn a lot when you get hypnotized, don't you? Good. Need some more oxygen in the brain. That's perfect. So just like Freddie talked about with the magnifying glass, a fire can either warm a house and cook a meal, or it can burn us, right? And so what we focus on is that magnifying glass, and we might as well focus on something positive and worthy and something creative instead of something destructive. And so hopefully from that experience, you got to see that you could easily go back and forth between a destructive thought pattern and a creative thought pattern. And notice that your feelings change, your focus changes, your capabilities change. Every area of your life can change just based on how you focus. Does anyone want to share? Here's somebody's mic on. David says, I noticed a struggled feeling into a bigger goal, but was easier for more near term. That's perfect. That's great. And so that bigger goal may just need more focused time. You know, if this is something you haven't done a lot, you may just need to feel into it a little more and experience a little more, or you can also just lock onto that short-term goal. That's up to you, and feel that and just move forward small steps at a time, because those sure add up. And then what? Did she raise her hand? Where'd she go? Nicola, where'd you go?
And Naima had a hand up as well.
Oh, perfect. Well then, yeah, let her. I'm looking for, I'm lost. Naima, yeah, if you want to share, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, very short. It was wonderful, really. I really enjoyed it. And I thought I was really good at shifting my focus. But I find out in this exercise, I am holding to a belief where I was continuously focusing on that hold me back. So it was really amazing. Thank you so much.
Good, our pleasure. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, love that.
Good. And did you notice, did your feelings change? Were you like,
Yeah.
were you able to feel into each experience? And perfect.
I felt directly, so I shifted that. So
Good. That's great.
Thank
Will
you.
this help? Will this help with client work? Like this understanding and skill in yourselves? You can see a thought
I
pattern.
will definitely use the hand exercise that you have done before, because that is really quite something tangible, what people can feel and notice how they are reacting to the body, you know, because that's, if you say just shift focus, but if you focus on your own body parts, that's powerful. Thank you so much. I will use that definitely.
Good. It's hard to say I didn't get hypnotized when you can feel your hands swelling or shrinking
Yeah.
or yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
and what we're focused on will affect us physically. You know, when whatever we're focused on. I mean, Dave was talking about in his coaching about running stories in our mind, and if we can make that story of our outcome fascinating enough, then we're going to be driven towards it by asking that question we've asked on these other sessions we have. When we feel into our outcome, and this is from a friend of mine in Australia, a lady called Gayleen. And she said that as human beings, we're geared toward pleasure. We want to feel good. You know, our whole being's about feeling good. If when we feel into our outcome and we step into that future self and just ask this question, how much fun is this? How much fun can we make it? How important is it for us? If we can get a sense of how much fun it's going to be, then everything about our nature, our mind and body is inclined toward making it happen. And as Nick was saying earlier, if you focus on your left hand, imagine that expanding, your right hand shrinking, you know, our mind is toggling between those two things. And what I noticed when I did that exercise, I'm focused on whether this hand's expanding, this hand's shrinking, without realizing that the rest of my body had disappeared at that point. I didn't know where my feet were and my body was at all, because now I'm focused on these two things. You can, by using that distraction and that focus, you can shift people away from the thing they have been thinking about, the thing they've been feeling. I imagine, I haven't done this, but I think it'd be worth trying. If you were to do this with someone who had, say, pain in their back, and you were to do this and get them to focus on their left hand expanding, their right hand shrinking, and get that focus moving there, I would be absolutely sure when you ask them afterwards, where was the pain in your back while you were doing that? They would say, I didn't feel any pain in my back, because their mind would have been focused on something else. So by shifting our focus, we can change the way we feel. By shifting the narrative in our mind, the story in our mind, we're going to feel differently. But it's the thing about it is, this is why we're here today, is training ourselves to focus and stay focused when all the other stuff's going on. And, you know, Naima was saying that, you know, she found she's been focused on the things that were holding her back. Is that true? Is that what you said, Naima? Did I understand you correctly?
Yes, I was focused on things that
Yeah.
I now recognize that are the things that are holding me back. Exactly.
Okay, well, this is the way our brain works. And our unconscious, instinctive being, it's geared toward two things. It wants us to be well, and it wants us to be well and wants us to be happy. So it's focused on our pleasure and our survival, if you like. And it's ancient, that part of our being. It goes right back to the very basics of us as human beings, which is the two main drivers, which are procreation and survival. Those are still our main drivers in our human being. And so as we've moved on socially, those drivers are still there. So our unconscious mind is always focused on giving us pleasure or keeping us safe. And it will do everything to make that happen. But it's ancient, the unconscious part of our brain. It's pretty much the same as it's been for millions of years. The higher part of our brain, this neocortex, the frontal lobe, has only developed in human beings over the last 150 to 200,000 years, which in a whole 85 million years of our development, if you like, our evolution, we've only had that part of our brain for a very small period of time. But that part of the brain is where we have the Broca's area, the part of us that can speak and can communicate in language. So negatives only exist in language. They don't exist in any other form in the universe. In the universe, things exist. Only in language do things not exist. It only makes sense in language for me to say there's not a cat sitting on your desk. Unless, of course, there is a cat sitting on your desk, which would make me some kind of profit. But, you know, for me to say there's not a cat sitting on your desk only makes sense in language. Now, because your unconscious mind was around before language existed, I hope you're staying with me here. And because negatives only exist in language, the brain cannot process the negative. The unconscious mind cannot process the negative. So if I say to you, think about the person you love most on this planet, or if I say, don't think about the person you love most on this planet, don't think about your partner's smile or your child's smile, what happens? You immediately think about that person's face. And that works brilliantly in sales. If you know what the criteria for someone buying your product is or your service, you know, let's say you're selling a car and you know the criteria for that person buying that car is it has to be economical. If you say this car's economical, they can believe you or believe you not, because as adults, we build up a defense against flattery in sales. But if you say to that person, look, don't think about the 50 miles to the gallon you're going to get from this car. Have a look at the quality of these seats. They have no defense against that. They have to think about the money they're going to save. And that works brilliantly in sales. Where it works against us is when we're focused on what we don't want. Because if we focus on what we don't want, your unconscious mind has no logic. It will just get for you what you're focused on. And if all you're focused on is the things that are going wrong or the things how you don't want to feel, unfortunately, that is where that's going to go. We have to continually bring ourselves back to focusing on what we do want. And now I've said this, I promise you, over the next few weeks, a few days or weeks, you're going to hear yourself saying, I don't want to feel like that anymore. I don't want to fail at this. I don't want to be ill. I don't want to feel. The moment you hear yourself saying, I don't want to feel like that, I don't want to do that, you catch yourself. You have to bring it back to where you do want. So I want to be fit and well, as opposed to I don't want to be ill. I want to be successful as opposed to I don't want to fail. I want to be happy as opposed to I don't want to be unhappy. You have to do it all the time because, you'll know most of you are therapists of some kind of coaches. And the first thing your client comes in and says to you, you say, how can I help? They say, I don't want to be overweight and I don't want to smoke anymore. And I don't want to be unhappy and I don't want to be afraid. They'll tell you half a dozen things they do not want to be anymore. And the first thing we have to do is get them focused on what they do want. Because the moment you shift your focus to what you do want, your brain goes, that's what they want. That's what they're going to get. This is the most important thing when we come to focusing and understanding that your brain cannot process a negative. And so we have to focus on what we want. Otherwise, what we're focused on is what we're going to get. You can be sure of that. So think about that. Keep that in your mind. You're going to hear yourself saying it. You're going to hear your brain going there. You're going to hear other people saying it. That's never going to work. Why are you doing that? You have to go, no, this is where I'm going. This is my why. That's what I'm going to achieve. And then you'll find yourself working towards it without even thinking. And if you do what I asked you earlier, take the time out to feel into that outcome. Imagine you've got that coaching business you got, David, and you're earning fortunes and you're traveling all over the world, coaching people. Get a sense of that, step into it, feel into it, ask the question, how much fun is this? How much fun can I make this? How important is it for me? Because if you can absolutely get into that feeling, then everything about your nature is inclined toward making it happen. Because we are geared toward pleasure. Here endeth my lesson. Sorry, Nick, back to you.
No, that was perfect. And this doesn't mean we ignore negatives or problems, not at all. But it means we become aware of them and then we use our power of focus to make the best out of that situation. Right? I know there's some spiritual teachers that say just ignore the problems like they don't exist and they will dissolve, right? What you focus on brings your attention. But how many of you have ignored a problem and it just got worse, right? I don't know about you, but I've done that. So when we can confront that problem and allow it and shift our focus through the problem into the outcome that we want and keep moving forward, not afraid to confront it, that's when we get to the other side. And that's where we expand as a person as well. So Freddie, I think nicely shared thoughts on focus and how to get people to shift it to what they want. Hopefully this exercise was helpful for you to learn how to not only become more aware of how your unconscious mind focuses, but to consciously grab the wheel and to redirect your vehicle and steer your ship into the direction you want. Was this useful for that? I got some really positive comments here. Seems like it worked for everybody. And this is something you can apply all day, every day in your life with your clients, with your kids. I mean, all I'm doing, I just got pretty good at shifting people's focus. Like that's probably one of the better skills that I have. And so when you get that, you can change how people feel. You can change the decisions they make. I mean, everything they do stems from how we feel, right? So when we change their focus, they feel it. They're making different decisions after a conversation with you than they did before. And it's a very powerful skill to have. So now I'm sure some of you had that before you got on this call, but maybe a refresher here to give you even more power. So I think that's all we got, Freddie. You got anything else to wrap it up?
No, that was great. That was great. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I'm sure they did. But it starts with, what do I want? What do I truly want? How do I want my life to be? How do I want my body to be? How do I want to be living? It has to start there. Let go of the word realistically. I often see people come and see me. They want to lose weight, and I say, what weight would you love to be? They say, well, 9 stone, but realistically, 11.5 will do. No, it's not good enough, right? You have to think, how exciting is this for me? What's going to get your juices flowing? What's going to get you up in the morning? What's going to get you focused on this to the extent that nothing else is going to sway you off that path? As I said, I've known some world champions and they're not very good, conversationally wise. It can be pretty boring because they've been so focused on that one thing their whole life. But I'm saying that if you truly want to achieve what you want to achieve, first you have to think about, what do I truly want? What's going to serve me? Not what someone else wants. What do I want? And how badly do I want it? Because if you focus on that, and as I've always saying, when we're doing goal setting, the last question after you've got focus, once you know what you want, the last question is this: what am I willing to do to create that life I want? What am I willing to do? But if you know how good you're going to feel, then everything about your nature is inclined toward making it happen. It starts with focusing on what you want. So great. I'm so pleased you all turned up. Hope you've enjoyed it. And thanks for being here. And
Yeah,
thanks,
you have to-
Nick, for that
you have to
information.
hold it in your mind until you feel it in your body, until it solidifies into your experience. That's the nature of what we're talking about. You have to.
And what's our mantra, Nick?
Which it's just your imagination? That
No,
one?
no, persist.
You
Until
must
you
persist.
succeed.
That's right. You must persist in that experience until you succeed. And you're all you guys, I've never seen a more persistent looking group than this group here. So I'm sure you can all persist in holding that focus until you feel it in your body, and then it solidifies into your life.
Thanks, Nick. It's great.
David asked a question. I'll answer this real quick about using pain points in sales. And it kind of comes back to, David, what I talked to you about earlier was you have to meet someone where they are. And when someone's on a buying journey, usually they're in a journey to solve a pain point. So if you start talking about all the positives, they might not resonate yet. You have to meet them at the pain points. And once they know you understand them, that's when you shift their focus and you provide the solution. And then it's like, it's easy and automatic. But if you don't meet someone who's in pain with pain, if you don't have that rapport and understanding, they're not gonna feel heard. Make sense?
You know, if you come across someone who's just been injured in an accident, and you come across them and they're in agony, and you know they're bleeding, and you say, "Look, you're perfectly okay. You're all right." That doesn't resonate. So you meet them where they're at. You say, "You've injured yourself badly, and I know you're in a lot of pain, but now the bleeding can stop." And you'll be surprised. You know, the emergency people are on the way, but you have to meet where they are. To say to somebody, "Oh, you know, you're perfectly okay," they know you're not. Meet them where they're at. It's the same in sales. Say, "Yes, you're in pain. This is a problem, but now I'm here. Now we're doing this coaching. Now you're going to be okay." And that's the suggestion that's going to bite. But you have to meet them at where they are first. And you can quite honestly stop someone from bleeding on the side of the road if you do that with enough conviction. But you have to meet them where they are.
Their unconscious mind is wide open to suggestions at that point. But you can almost imagine, like, if focus was a handle that people had on their heads, and like you can see where they're focusing by the direction of it, and just imagine grabbing the handle and just you can like move someone's focus just like that quickly and easily by just grabbing their focus handle.
Yeah.
All right, I think that does it, Freddie. I think we've shared all we need to share. I think they're geared up, ready to go take some action and persist through any obstacles that might come up. And we're just holding them up from that. So,
and if you don't take control of your focus handle, we're going to come along and do it for you.
One last thing. I don't know, some of you may have seen already. I know some of you have messaged me, but we are setting up a library, which is going to have some hypnosis recordings. It's going to have all of these replays. And Freddie and I are constantly dropping in some of our guest lectures and podcasts and all the things that we're doing. So for the next week, you can subscribe for $10 a month, which is crazy stupid. We're going to double the price after the call next week. So for a week, that's going to be up. I'll put the link in the Facebook group if you guys want to sign up for our library. And we have, I don't know, 5 or 6 hypnosis processes in there already. And we have 2 more that we're editing to add. So we're just going to keep dropping those things in for you guys, processes that aren't available anywhere else. So I'll put that in the Facebook group. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Next week, Freddie is going to go over dream architecture. And the week after that, I'm going to do the back to the future process, which are both going to be really powerful processes. So we will anticipate seeing all of you then.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Thanks
Thank
for showing
you.
up.
Thank you.
See you again soon.
Thanks a
Thanks,
million,
Freddie.
guys.
Thanks.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Thank you, Freddie. Thank you, Nick.
Love it. See you, Diana.
Thank you. Okay. Thank
See ya.
you.
See you,
Bye-bye.
Helen.
Bye.
Good to see you, Helen. Good to see you, Chris. Nice to see you there. Good to see all of you, Teresa. Bye now. See you in a bit. See you, Nick.
See you, Freddie. Talk soon.